Check 1, 2, check, 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 check. Good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I didn't even turn my mic up. I'm so excited to start the broadcast. We have the state of the state from Governor Hochul. We'll be talking about in just a moment. We have a lot of New York State issues in general, as well as Lloyd Austin. We'll be talking about all of that and much more. As a reminder, tomorrow on the program, we'll be talking with Sheriff Jim Allard. And then on Friday, who will also weigh in on the state of the state, will be Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, who we'll also hear from in just a second, quote-wise. If you have any questions for either of our guests, you can send them in at that number on the bottom of the screen at any time. We got our first virtual wave. Thank you very much. A couple quick catch-up comments from yesterday's broadcast. Thank you to everyone who sends in comments on our topics. I cringe every time I hear our governor's name and rely on your program, meaning Frankly Speaking, to get the tidbits, as I can't stomach watching her one-sided, insulting hate speeches while picking the pockets of the taxpayer she needs to fund her great ideas. Thank you for that. The other, Democrats have no talking points about fixing anything. Trash Trump is their only talk. There's a point to that when it comes to the president's speech the other day, very much to divide. So there's our comments to play catch up from yesterday. Okay, a quick local story. If you recall, quite a while ago, I brought you kind of a breaking story, which was the 4-H display showcase was leaving the Steuben County Fair. It was a pretty big story at the time. I know we received a lot of comments on it. We do have an update. Cornell Cooperative Extension of Steuben County is pleased to announce the location of the 4-H Summer Showcase that will be held July 25th through the 28th, 2024. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you right now. We're extremely grateful to Hendershot Haflingers in Cameron Mills, New York, who have partnered with Cornell Cooperative Extension to host our first ever 4-H Showcase. We are incredibly excited to work with Hendershot Haflingers to bring a unique and fun opportunity for our 4-H youth and community. Make sure to mark your calendars for this public event. More information coming ahead. So I will get that information as it unfolds, but I wanted to give you that somewhat breaking news story and an update on quite a lengthy discussion we had some time back. So let's talk. I know I'm moving fast. I apologize. I've got to slow down. I just have so much I want to get to. According to the New York Post editorial board, Hochul's State of the State, which was held yesterday, did you watch it? What did you think? It was about 1 o'clock yesterday when she went on with her agenda, and now there is a follow-up with the budget next week. But according to the Post editorial board, the State of the State holds a glimmer of hope that the governor gets it. They still give it a 1.5-star rating. We'll explain why that is, what the assemblyman had to say about it. I know there was there was various pieces. I want to give you all the information on this program. Nicole Galinas said New York governor finally sees reality and responsibility. I don't know, because the reason why I'd say that seems kind of optimistic is if you listen to how she sold last time about public safety and really focusing on public safety, and what happened. What was the change to bail reform? Minuscule. Did nothing. So I'm not sure you should get your hopes up quite that much, though the governor did focus in a war on shoplifters. She said the chaos must stop. Yes, it's affecting, and I know I've talked about it a lot on this program, but it's affected businesses from coming here, or businesses unfortunately needing to close because of just the financial burden of shoplifting. I say no more. The chaos must stop. She said, you notice, about the last 3-4 months, chaos is a pretty frequent word. I wonder why that is. The governor's plan would create a new category of crime to prosecute those who sell stolen goods online and set up a new smash and grab unit in the New York State Police Department to prosecute theft rings. What is interesting, though, is if you look at what the Post editorial board said with their 1.5-star rating, they focused in on that. Was it this piece? I think it is, where she talks about the shoplifting scourge. But again, you're really in no trouble if you get caught because of bail reform. I'm going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to tell you what the Post had to say, what the Assemblyman had to say, and then, of course, a lot here about Lloyd Austin and what we're learning day by day. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's time to stock up on your favorite New York wines at GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads. GCP Discount Liquors and Wines has the largest selection of Finger Lakes wines in the southern tier, all under one roof. Whether you're looking for Lakewood, Wagner, Wise, or Haslett 1852 Vineyards, GCP Discount Liquors and Wines is your convenient one-stop shop for these great wineries and more, all at the area's lowest prices. Shop GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads, the best in service, selection, and price.
Isn't your most important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Sunday on Fox. Let's roll! The Kings of the Lanes look to go all out in the PBA Strike Derby.
Strike. 12 for Drew. He's down. Nothing but strikes.
Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm your host, Frank Acom. This is Frankly Speaking on Big Fox. So as I mentioned, the New York Post editorial board gives Governor Hochul's State of the State a 1.5 star, saying local audiences had every right to expect a speech that genuinely reflects their state's current predicament, its nation-leading hemorrhage of residents, the high crime, flood of migrants, and $22 billion. Yes, $22 billion in red ink over the next 3 years. The best moments waved in that direction, saying thieves brazenly tear items off the shelves and menace employees. These attacks are nothing more than a breakdown of the social order, creating an atmosphere of anxiety and safety at the grocery store, the synagogue, the subway. It's always top of the mind. And I say no more to baby formula locked behind plastic panels and people suffering a mental breakdown or an overdose on the subway. But she also delivered a disjointed series of stilted vignettes about great investments she's made with your money, such as adding $5.3 billion for overfunded, underperforming schools. And about how she's held the line on taxes, even, quote, cutting them for the middle class, when in fact she raised them on downstate businesses, with painful ripple effects on employees and customers. And of course, her live audience of members of the legislature surely took her fine line of, quote, we cannot spend money we do not have, as a challenge to find more money to spend by bleeding the taxpayers even more dry. And I thought that was a very good point. She also mentioned the mass exodus from New York, but she pulled the punch out of her own narrative. People aren't fleeing in her account because of New York's highest in the nation taxes. No, it's not the highest in the nation taxes. Since, after all, many moved to neighboring states where taxes are also high. Well, except plenty of top taxpayers and their companies are fleeing those levies to places like Florida, which have no personal income tax, and plenty of low-tax states. Meanwhile, few businesses come here without major taxpayer bribes. While Hochul noted New York's persistent crime, her dialogue focused mainly on retail theft, hate crimes, and domestic violence, leaving the audience puzzled about the scant mention of, say, well, the 368 murders in New York City alone last year. Hochul wants to create a $20 million pot for prosecutors to share to pursue domestic abuse, a task force that will curb retail theft, though, and this is the point that I mentioned, though perps will still get set free moments after arrest under the state's, also unmentioned, broken bail laws, and so on. So, to be fair, the Post says, Hochul was never meant to be in this role. She's an understudy vaulted into the spotlight when the previous star got yanked in a Me Too scandal. At least this speech leaves hope she'll give New York more of what it needs down the line. Give it 1.5 stars with a chance for better next time. I think that's maybe a high ranking. Now, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano had this to say after we come back from a break. We'll be right back. I just looked at my time. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
The Ranger XD 1500, offering unprecedented capability, brute strength, and unmatched comfort.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
Is your closet cramped and cluttered? Well, now there's Space Triangles, the clever new hanging device that fits over any hanger to save you closet space in seconds. And now may be your last chance to get them for a low price. Now you can vertically hang multiple items, guaranteeing that you'll have up to 70% more space in your closet. Your closet can go from messy to marvelous in no time with ease. The ingenious slip-over design secures the hangers vertically. It snugly fits all types of hangers to save you space. Order now to get an 18-piece set of Space Triangles for just $9.99. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get Space Triangles at this low price. There is a strict limit of 1 closet pack per order while supplies last. Once they're gone forever. Order now.
Call 1-800-959-5414. Call or visit spacetriangles.com. So call 1-800-959-5414 now.
Hey everyone, Emerald Lagasse here, and I'm so excited to tell you about my biggest air fryer yet.
Introducing Emerald Lagasse's Dual Zone Air Fryer Oven with dual-sided cooking chambers. Now you can cook 2 different foods 2 different ways that finish at the same time. Enjoy juicy grilled burgers at the same time as air-fried French fries, broiled savory salmon at the same time as roasted asparagus. The secret is in the QuickSync technology that matches the cooking times and settings of each food, so they're programmed to finish at the same time. But watch, remove the center divider and it transforms into a large 25-quart capacity oven. Now you can try Emerald Lagasse's Dual Zone Air Fryer Oven with free recipe book in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. But wait, we'll automatically upgrade you to his deluxe cooking kit and 1-year VIP protection plan absolutely free, complete with everything you need to cook Monday to Sunday family-size meals. Plus, ask how you can get free shipping. This offer will not last, so order now.
You're gonna love it, I guarantee it.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hake. I'm broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We have a lot to cover this morning, as I keep mentioning. So let's get right back to it. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, who will be in on the program on Friday to talk about the state of the state, but also energy costs. Well, the Assemblyman has reacted to the state of the state, saying Governor Hochul delivered the annual State of the State address outlining her priorities for the upcoming session. I hope for and expect more specific details about her agenda when she presents her executive budget proposal next week. And even some of the things that maybe you were hoping that she would focus on, she said, essentially, paraphrasing here, wait till next week. That's when the specifics come out. But he said, I agree with the governor that we need to address the mental health problem in our state by improving accessibility and affordability. I also agree that we must empower our local law enforcement agencies with the ability to permanently shut down these illegal sticker stores that are a scourge on our local communities. Yes, and thinking of what it does, tax dollars, the list goes on and on. But continuing here. However, one thing is for certain, our state is facing an affordability, public safety, and quality of life crisis. We must address a budget deficit of more than $21 billion over the next 3 years. We cannot continue on this dangerous and reckless trend of unsustainable and out of control spending and debt, costly job-killing taxes and regulations, crippling inflation, a high cost of living, and the continuation of violent crime in our local communities, all of which have helped contribute to New York's nation-leading out-migration problem. Yes, the exodus, voting with your feet, as we've said so often. He continued, Governor Hochul continues to claim she wants to address the affordability crisis facing New Yorkers. However, her actions, coupled with those of my Democrat colleagues in the legislature, fail to address this issue as they continue full speed ahead with their costly, radical energy and climate agenda of full electrification. Their reckless plan continues to prioritize so-called green energy over ensuring our energy supply is both affordable and reliable for New York families, farmers, seniors, small businesses, and manufacturers. We have a serious outmigration problem with more and more families, farmers, and businesses leaving our state. According to the Census Bureau, New York lost more than 100,000 people from July of 2022 to July of 2023. In fact, New York has led the nation in population loss with more than 553,000 who have fled our state since 2020. This is an alarming pattern that must be reversed. I, along with my Assembly Republican colleagues, will continue to advocate for common sense policies that prioritize safety, fiscal responsibility, job creation, and economic development. Affordable and reliable energy, and improving the quality of life for New York families and businesses. And he goes on to encourage some work, some bipartisan work in the future, which is obviously when you have a Democrat supermajority in New York, that is relatively rare. So thank you to the Assemblyman for sending in his comments on the state of the state. We'll talk to him on Friday about that issue. All right. If you would love to weigh in on the state of the state, I would love to have you do that. So please, you see the number on the bottom of your screen. Let's talk for a moment about U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. What we're learning now is it continues to be more troubling as really things unfold. Biden was in the dark over the cancer diagnosis for about a month, is what we're learning. Joe Biden was kept in the dark over his defense secretary's cancer diagnosis and subsequent hospitalization for about a month. The White House admitted this on Tuesday as details of Lloyd Austin's deeply unusual disappearance raised questions about leadership of the world's top military. And isn't that the biggest fear, the signal it sends to our adversaries, but also, and if we get to it, there's a piece on this later, but the message it sends to our military, that no one is manning the ship. Now, we heard from James Clapper yesterday when he was on, was it CNN? But don't quote me where he was at. He said, well, everybody knows he's an introvert. He was at Walter Reed. It's no big deal. I think it was very misleading to say elective surgery. Now, I saw some arguments that, well, technically it's an elective surgery, but technically it isn't. It depends on how you want to define it, the technicalities. I don't know if prostate cancer surgery should be deemed elective, but that's how they sold it to us originally. Now the truth is coming out. Continuing here, though, the 70-year-old's failure to disclose his hospitalization has prompted an extraordinary row in Washington and could be embarrassing for Biden, who faces multiple foreign crises in his re-election campaign year, including in Israel and Ukraine. Yes, you have Israel, Ukraine, you've got Iran and proxies attacking us, and yet you have our Secretary of Defense going MIA and no one's even aware. That does not bode well for what the Biden White House knows about what's going on. But as Defense Secretary, career soldier Austin is personally overseeing military deployments to try and contain fallout from the Israel-Hamas war, which has sparked violence against American forces in Iraq and Syria, as well as attacks on international shipping in the Red Sea. After days of refusal to issue details, the Pentagon came out Tuesday with its first full account of Austin's health issues, but the new transparency came too late for a clearly upset White House. Well, is it clearly upset? Because what we're learning is the White House continues to say that they're fine and have full confidence, full confidence in him. According to two doctors from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, Austin's prostate cancer was detected as a result of routine screening in early December. He underwent minor surgery to treat it on December 22nd. Returning home the following day, the doctors said that they described it as elective. Again, prostate cancer surgery. However, Austin was readmitted to the same hospital on January 1st due to complications, including nausea and a severe abdominal, hip, and leg pain. They believe it was a urinary tract infection. where they also found abdominal fluid collections impairing the function of his small intestines. After Austin was moved to intensive care on January 2nd. White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby made clear that Austin had not followed procedures. Now they're trying to distance a little bit. But again, we learn he's just an introvert. I mean, this is the way they defend this decision in the media. It's rather shocking if you didn't know who the media was. But the one piece I had for you yesterday saying, well, he's at least not as bad as Rumsfeld. The whole hit piece going after Rumsfeld. Using this, and again, we've learned so much more now, so I wonder what the piece would look like now. Probably no different. But using it as an excuse to attack Rumsfeld makes absolutely no sense. But it's not optimal for a situation like this to go as long as it did without the commander-in-chief knowing about it, or the national security advisor knowing about it, or frankly, other leaders at the Department of Defense, Kirby said. It's not the way this is supposed to happen. It's not good. We want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Kirby insisted, now this is important, because remember, at the beginning of this piece, they said, and this is from Yahoo News, beginning of the piece, they said the White House is becoming increasingly frustrated, they're mad. Kirby insisted that Biden retains complete confidence in Austin and was looking forward to having him back at the Pentagon. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. Please feel free to weigh in at any moment on any topic. We have a couple comments coming in I'm just looking at here, so stay with us. We'll be right back. But frankly speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox will be right back.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready. We're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
If you struggle to keep up with conversations, if you have trouble hearing the TV or radio, Nano Hearing Aids wants to help you hear better. Because when you hear better, you're actually going to feel better and live a happier, even healthier life. And Nano Hearing Aids is offering not one, but two very special, possibly once-in-a-lifetime offers. Special offer number one. When you buy any Nano OTC hearing aid, Nano will give you a pair of personal sound amplifiers absolutely free. If you have a little trouble hearing but don't need a hearing aid, these are great. Special offer 2. Today, Nano is offering an amazing deal on their CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids. Today, you can order a full pair of completely in-canal Recharge OTC hearing aids for only $297. Plus, Nano offers great financing. Payments from only $26.81 a month. That's around 88 cents a day. But supplies are limited, so call now.
1-800-759-6001.
The Nano CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids are extremely easy to use, and they're nearly invisible. And since they're completely in canal, nothing shows on the back of your ear. So most people will never even see them. And today you can purchase a pair of fully rechargeable CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids for only $297. This is one amazing deal, but Nano has a second incredible deal. Because when you buy a Nano CIC Recharge at the low price of $297, Nano will give you a pair of Nano personal sound amplifiers free. So you'll get both a pair of OTC hearing aids and a pair of personal sound amplifiers for only $297. That's $297 for both. Payments on the CIC Recharge start at $26.81 a month. That's 88 cents a day. But remember, supplies are limited. Once they're gone, this offer is gone and will not be repeated. So call now.
1-800-759-6001. 1-800-759-6001.
What a beautiful day there on Market Street in Corning. I'm your host, Frank Acom. You're watching Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We're talking about Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, keeping everyone in the dark. If you recall yesterday on the program, I said, seems to be a lot of red flags here. I think we're starting to see why they are so secretive. Prostate cancer, of course, no laughing matter. And then you add on to the fact he was in intensive care, and it did not go maybe as smoothly as they originally thought it was going to go. Well, Congressman Nick Langworthy had this to say. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin failed to disclose to the White House that he would be unable to fulfill his national security responsibilities, leaving both our troops and government officials in the dark as to who is in command at the Pentagon. Secretary Austin should resign immediately, as he has proven to be unfit for his position on multiple occasions, from the major breach to the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. President Biden shares responsibility for this incident due to the alarming lack of accountability within his administration. Thank you to Congressman Nick Langworthy for sending that in. There has been a lot of chatter suggesting that what does this say about the White House and what does this mean for Biden's reelection? Will this come up? Meaning, how are they not aware that he's been dealing with this for so long? Here you have someone of major importance with our national security. How can this just be glanced over? And that's why it was so frustrating to see that piece just trying to badmouth Rumsfeld for some reason, and James Clapper saying, oh, nothing to see here, everything was fine. If it weren't, well, I would say what happens if it were a Democrat or a Republican and this happened. But I think the piece that went after Rumsfeld proves what would happen. Because if they took this opportunity to go after Rumsfeld, who was under George W., who had nothing to do with this. I mean, if they're going to write that piece, you can only imagine the difference in media coverage if this were a Trump administration per se, in the last go-round. If he would have done this, if his Secretary of Defense would have done this. But anyway, we're going to go on to what some talking heads had to say. CNN's Dr. Rainier was on the Situation Room. He said, but it's important to note that hospitalization takes a lot out of you. And the secretary, although he looks very robust, is 70 years old. And I tell people that it takes about 3 times as long to recover from an illness as you spend in the hospital. So if he's in the hospital right now for 8 days, it could take him a month to recover from this. So Wolf Blitzer said he was readmitted to the hospital, as you know, last week, after originally undergoing the surgery to deal with the prostate cancer. So what does that indicate to you? And Rainier, this is CNN's doctor, George Washington School of Medicine and Health Science professor, and CNN's medical analyst, saying, well, it indicates that he was sick. And more importantly, he was admitted to the intensive care unit, which suggests that he was, listen to this word, unstable. And the story really starts to fall apart when you think about the Secretary of Defense in an intensive care unit without notifying the rest of the chain of command, because he would have been potentially unstable. He would have been potentially on pain medication that would have made it very difficult for him to make complex recommendations in a time of a national crisis. Well, not even complex recommendations to even comprehend what's going on. And you've got to think of the other side of that coin. What if that recommendation or that order maybe was not in the best interest of our country, not in the best interest of our safety? So that piece of the story is very hard to understand. I think if he's no longer on pain medication and he's just receiving antibiotics, maybe some physical therapy, and just overall resting at home, then he should be very capable of reading emails and participating in conference calls and advising the White House, as long as he's not requiring pain medication. Think of how much they downplay the Secretary of Defense in this. So, yeah, they go after him a little bit, saying this is so hard to understand, which that would not be the term they would use if it were a different presidency. They wouldn't say it was difficult to understand. I don't understand why he did this. It would be, scandal, conspiracy. What does he really? You can do this kind of mental game on your own. You know exactly how the coverage would differ. But think of how they now, to kind of maybe make up for it, say, well, if he's just on antibiotics, he could read emails and participate in conference calls and advise the White House. That's all that he feels the Secretary of Defense is responsible for. Well, he can catch up on his emails, get a conference call in or two as he's resting. Fox News Channel's Dr. Siegel said, I think there's more obfuscation going on here. Even now, I'll explain. And this was on the story on Fox News. First of all, Secretary Austin should have come forward because 2.5 times more black men get prostate cancer than white men, and 2.5 times die more. And we're trying forever in the doctor's office to increase our screenings. So he could have been, and still can be, a spokesperson for that fact. Secondly, they called this an elective procedure. But this is a major surgery from the way I'm reading it. minimally invasive, to me, that implies they use the robot, the Da Vinci robot, which is a huge step forward. So it can be done through 2 very small incisions. If I'm right that they use the Da Vinci and you don't lose a lot of blood, it's a major, major step forward, and he's probably cured. We pray to God that he's cured. But that is not what I would call an elective procedure, even if technically it is, because you don't have to have it, or because you don't have to have it emergently. People think of nose jobs as elective procedures or something cosmetic. This is elective technically, but I think it's the wrong term to use, and minimally invasive implies it's minor when in actuality shows biotechnological advances that we can now do that. So yeah, I think that was a way to maybe throw us off the trail, hoping that it would stop the coverage. But then when we learned what it actually was about, I mean, again, I'm not a doctor. I would not deem, and again, maybe I fall into that trap of thinking an elective surgery is like a nose job, something like that, cosmetic. I would not think a surgery on prostate cancer, no matter how minimally invasive, I would not think of that as elective. Elective to me would say, well, I'll do it when I get a chance. That seems like more of a, we better take care of this now. Also, to then have the complications, and again, no one in the chain of command knew as this was going on what was happening. I have one more thing on this when we come back, and then we're going to talk about the presidential race. Obviously, tonight's a big night because you have the debate between Haley and DeSantis, and you have the counter-programming on Fox News of the Donald Trump town hall. So it's going to be an interesting night of television viewing. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. This is, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
If you struggle to keep up with conversations, if you have trouble hearing the TV or radio, Nano Hearing Aids wants to help you hear better. Because when you hear better, you're actually going to feel better and live a happier, even healthier life. And Nano Hearing Aids is offering not one, but 2 very special, possibly once-in-a-lifetime offers. Special offer number 1, when you buy any Nano OTC hearing aid, Nano will give you a pair of personal sound amplifiers absolutely free. If you have a little trouble hearing but don't need a hearing aid, these are great. Special offer 2. Today, Nano is offering an amazing deal on their CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids. Today, you can order a full pair of completely in-canal Recharge OTC hearing aids for only $297. Plus, Nano offers great financing. Payments from only $26.81 a month, 88 cents a day. But supplies are limited, so call now.
1-800-219-0286. 1-800-219-0286.
Sunday on Fox.
Give me everything you got!
It's Dallas and it's Philly in one of the biggest games of the year.
Ask yourself, how great do we want to be?
Now, the 2 longtime rivals collide in a must-watch divisional showdown.
Look at that beautiful view of Marcus Street here in Corning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Frankly Speaking on Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A lot of people on the street this morning. Okay, so we were talking about Lloyd Austin. We had our congressman call for his immediate resignation. Congressman Nick Langworthy calling for Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's immediate resignation. On Fox News Channel's The Story, John Ratcliffe weighed in. You may recall him. He served as the Director of National Intelligence during the Trump administration. And I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit, but he said, a lot of people seem to be missing the larger picture here. That this entire episode is really an indictment of the entire Biden national security team. Look, the focus here isn't just on the concern that we have with our adversaries like Putin and Xi about not following processes and procedures and the explanations that you heard and them trying to say that, look, there are no gaps. Someone always had their hands in control. And that seems a little bit iffy too, but I'll continue. The concern that I have is the messages that what we've sent to our troops about force protection, which is that we don't care. The thing that isn't being talked about is that from the time of Secretary Austin's first surgery until the time it was discovered he was AWOL, notice that Ratcliffe uses the term AWOL, interesting, there were 13 attacks on U.S. troops. And that's why I mentioned this. This is such a good point. I want to just highlight that. Good point from John Ratcliffe, former Director of National Intelligence, saying that from the time Secretary Austin's first surgery until the time it was discovered he was AWOL, there were 13 attacks on U.S. troops. And just from January 1st to January 4th, there were 8 attacks. And what we've learned is that the number of principal meetings, meaning the senior cabinet officials of Biden's national security team to talk about this issue, the number of meetings was 0. We know that because had anyone gotten together to talk about what should we do about force protection, what should we do about protecting our troops, what were the nature and the extent of the damages, someone would have noticed that Secretary Austin was missing. And I thought that was a very forceful and valid point, again, by John Ratcliffe, and I appreciate that, being able to bring that to you. So according to this comment from a viewer, I originally thought, what business was it whether the Secretary of Defense told anyone if he was in the hospital? But then I remembered my civics class. His position is 6th in line if anything happens to the president. So yes, there are consequences. And the decision, thank you for that, by the way. That's a very good point. Yes, it's about the chain of command. It's about having someone. It's also about the misleading, telling people that he was working from home, not telling the White House, not telling the public, who I believe has a right to know these type of things. It's about not being transparent. What was there to hide? Now, obviously, prostate cancer and surgery there is not anything to take lightly, but there's also something that should be made known. Because as it was said earlier, that one comment from CNN saying, you know, if he's on certain medicines, it would be nearly impossible, this wasn't their term, nearly impossible to make the decisions he may have to make or advise in the way that he may need to advise. So that's what makes, I think, for many of us very troubling at a time when there's so much going on internationally and the potential of so much going on internationally. God forbid, what if China would have made its move then on Taiwan that they keep threatening, or more of these attacks. You just saw the numbers, according to John Ratcliffe, the numbers of our soldiers being attacked. So it's fine. No one's saying don't get the surgery. I think everybody's just saying let someone know, you know, his chief of staff, what was it, sick, and then other people out, and he couldn't have left a sticky note somewhere for when they return. I mean, it's troubling, and I think it points to something larger that we may not ever fully know. Why the secretive nature? Because I don't think you can just go to James Clapper, who said, well, he's just an introvert. It doesn't quite work like that. Okay. Let's take a look at 2024 so far. Here we are on January the 10th. I think I've made good that we have talked about the presidential election each day so far. Nikki Haley, it's interesting when you look at this. Expectations are so high for Trump. I want you to keep this in mind. I was thinking about this the last couple of days. Expectations are so high for Trump because the numbers have been thrown around with polls and like that in Iowa, in New Hampshire and elsewhere, that anything short of almost a sweep is going to be portrayed by the media as a loss for Trump. So please keep that in mind when you see the coverage the next day. Anything short of 50, 60 points, they'll say, well, that's it for Trump. So definitely keep that in mind. Where Nikki Haley, even though the media have tried to continue to bolster her campaign and say how good of a chance she has and really the only never Trump option, they still will say that her polls were low. So if she gets anything even a little bit higher, if she isn't completely routed by Trump, they'll say it was a huge night for Nikki Haley. And the same, to an extent, goes for Ron DeSantis, though I feel that the media find Nikki Haley, and take this for whatever it's worth, more palatable. They find her more to their liking. So again, take that for whatever it means. I'm not putting any bias in there. I'm just telling you that if they had their druthers, it would be Nikki Haley and not a DeSantis, and definitely not a Trump. Now, it's interesting because you could say in the back of your mind, well, these people that would rather have Haley will, one, never vote for a Republican, two, never want to see a Republican win presidency or really any elected office ever again. So why would they tell us the best direction? That's a decision you can make for yourself. That's a question you can ask yourself. But Haley looks to defy expectations in Iowa is the headline from The Hill, which is interesting because what candidate doesn't look to defy expectations anywhere they run? But that's the headline that Julia Manchester ran with. Nikki Haley is looking to outperform expectations in the Iowa caucus next week in hopes of solidifying her status as the top challenger to former President Trump. Is that what she's looking to do, outperform expectations? I bet you she's maybe even looking to win. Politics, especially in this scenario, before we go to break, in this scenario where there hasn't been much of a horse race because Trump has led so in the polls, that the way they tried to spin it. Remember that one piece we had from David Axelrod that look at all these positives going for Nikki Haley, and then at the bottom almost like a caveat saying, but also we should keep in mind she's down 30 points to Trump. But again, before we go to break, just remember, because it's going to be frustrating if you are a Trump supporter, or if you're a Republican in general and you just want fair coverage, Donald Trump, unless he really routes Nikki Haley, it will be considered a very bad night for him. I don't care if he wins by 30 points. If they can, they're going to spin it as it was a very bad night for Trump. And if Nikki Haley even outperforms, again, what they think she'll outperform, which it could be, maybe even 10%, 12%, they'll say huge night for Nikki Haley going into New Hampshire. You can see the writing on the wall already. But let's take another break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox.
Stay tuned to get this 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable, so use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans. From steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish, nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you won't pay that. Not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these are an $80 value, yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-603-3404 or go to buyhammered.com. That's 1-800-603-3404, or you can order online at buyhammered.com.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. So we're talking about Hallie looking to defy expectations in Iowa. Yes, she may even be looking to win. But before that, we were talking about Lloyd Austin and the controversy surrounding the lack of transparency with his time in the hospital. A good point from a viewer here. Well, you and I would both be fired if we didn't show up for work. And I don't have a job that protects the American people. Well, me either. We could both be in that. But yes, you're exactly right. Imagine if you just did not show up, did not tell your bosses. You know, again, it goes back to that point that one of the pieces from the New York Post made yesterday that I thought was really good. Just like in Harvard, not to compare the two, but just like in Harvard where a freshman year student would be booted for the same type of plagiarism that former president of Harvard, Claudine Gay, was involved in. Same here. A brand new recruit going AWOL, as Lloyd Austin did, would not be accepted either, and rightfully so. But so thank you for that point. That is a well thought out position. I appreciate it. So Hallie, they are doing the, again, it's interesting. It's a kind of a tightrope walk. It's not that they're propping her up. They just want it to look as if any number that she gets is going to be defying expectations, and any number that Trump gets is just a terrible, horrible night for the former president. But Nikki Haley got a big endorsement, and this could sway your opinion. Judge Judy has weighed in on the 2024 presidential election. I know you're saying it's late. Where has she been? We wait patiently for Judge Judy's endorsement. Judge Judy, I don't know how, I can never remember how to say her name because they don't say her last name that often, so please, if I'm wrong. Shindlin said, "I'm proud to endorse Nikki Haley because she is a smart whip, or she's whip smart, has executive credentials, and was a superb governor." Again, isn't it interesting? She said in a statement released by Haley's campaign. So did Haley seek out that endorsement? Interesting. I mean, she's popular. I'm not going to deny Judge Judy's popularity. "I truly think she can restore America and believe she is the future of this great nation." That's what Judge Judy believes about Nikki Haley. Haley said she was honored to have the support of the 81-year-old Judy Justice is the other show that she has, presiding judge, dubbing her a no-nonsense lady. Now, let's see. Does it say here? She did, Judge Judy endorsed former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg in the 2020 White House race. "I like somebody in Washington who's not divisive." Bloomberg's not divisive? Oh, interesting. When did that happen? Just keep that in mind, that she endorsed Bloomberg. If you remember Bloomberg's maybe positions and things like that, maybe it just shows you a little bit to Judge Judy's political mindset. That's neither a positive or negative that I'm saying. It just gives you a look inside her mind. Now, okay. Do I have time? Let me take a break. I want to show you, and just a touch of this, but how full of themselves the media are and how important the media believe themselves to be. That's when we come back. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks are a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen One, the portable oxygen concentrator you can take almost anywhere.
With this little device, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
The Inogen One is so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen One for 30 days completely risk-free. Give us a call right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days completely risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen One system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 1-800-929-7290. Again, that's 1-800-929-7290.
We are back with Frankly Speaking. So I mentioned the idea the media is very full of themselves. So if you recall, I had a piece a week ago saying how important, what was most important for DeSantis and Haley to get across the finish line in Iowa. And the first two things that piece from CNN said was, first one, CNN's town hall. That was either that night or the night before. And the second one was CNN's debate. Well, guess what? Everything is on the line for Haley and DeSantis at Wednesday night's debate, according to Stephen Collinson from CNN. Where is that debate located? Yes, CNN. I wonder if that plays into it. Republican rivals Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis clash in the 2024 campaign's first head-to-head debate Wednesday, each searching for the critical blow that could position them to become the sole viable challenger to Donald Trump. I do think if you were to watch the coverage, kind of with a magnifying glass, not even really, just maybe in passing, you would think that Haley is almost the front runner and that DeSantis is really trailing. We have piece by piece on that. I don't know if that's going to be the case. If you look at Iowa, those voters may line up a little bit more with DeSantis and a Haley. But yes, that's going to be the most important thing. And of course, you know by now that as CNN holds a debate, former President Trump is going to join Fox News for a town hall at the same time, counter-programming. Former President Trump will appear on Fox News Channel on Wednesday at 9 p.m. for a live town hall from Iowa. All right, let's take our last break. We'll be right back and wrap things up here on Frankly Speaking. On WYDC TV, Big Fox, stay with us.
Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before. Hammered pans are ultra non-stick and they're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie or this whole chicken dinner. Use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips right out. Plus the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop one payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
Call 1-800-608-1538 or go to buyhammered.com.
Welcome to this historic season 22 of Hell's Kitchen, the American dream. Let me make something really clear. Yes, I've never seen such a pathetic opening in all my life. Yes, I'm rooting for you.
Yes, Chef. Yes, Chef.
But you need to commit your part in this journey.
Yes, Chef.
I do not get it.
Yes, Chef.
This is absolutely insane.
Yes, Chef.
Embarrassing.
Yes, Chef.
Get out.
Yes, Chef.
Drive
Yes,
it.
Chef.
You do it my way or it's the highway. Is that clear?
Yes, Chef.
Tomorrow.
Yes, Chef.
Welcome back, boy. Another edition of Frankly Speaking that went way too fast. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I was criticizing the media earlier to show you the bias. 2 media members were heard cracking jokes on a hot mic just yesterday about former President Donald Trump being cut down by an assassin's bullet as they waited for him to appear at the federal courthouse in Washington, likening it to JFK, laughing and joking. You can find this piece by Melissa Koenig at the New York Post. It just shows you this is not, unfortunately, the first time this kind of bias and hatred has been exposed. Okay, but back to the presidential race. Carville believes, and this is like I said earlier, just keep this in mind, if you don't know who Carville is, the raging Cajun himself, James Carville, is believed by him that Trump will underperform expectations in Iowa. Well, I mean, the expectations are so high, so all it needs to do is go down 1 point, and they're going to say it's the worst night ever for Trump. I'm going to take this opportunity to make a further fool of myself, he said, and predict that Trump will underperform expectations in Iowa. I think the opposition, I know very little about the Republican primary voters in Iowa, but they seem to be pretty well organized and pretty committed. It will be 0 degrees. I will go out there and say I think I'm not going to say he's going to lose, but he might not win as much as expected. And then you can see the media coverage after that, which will be on to New Hampshire for Nikki Haley or DeSantis or whoever. I want to give you one troubling number here. I know we've talked a lot about Trump being taken off the ballot and how undemocratic that is, and how it goes to show you I think it should be difficult, but it won't be. They won't be sheepish at all, but to run against threats to democracy when they're doing things like this. And of course, I've talked about the slippery slope of it all and what this means. We've already seen a congressman or a congressional race, someone tried to use it on their congressman, saying, well, he was friends with Trump at the time, let's kick him off the ballot. Did you know, according to a new poll by Rasmussen, in the Democrat Party, 66% of Democrats want former President Trump's name removed from state ballots. So they don't even want, well, again, this doesn't come as a surprise to me, because if you remember, Democrats must be as a whole, don't believe in their own voters. If you look at Bernie and Hillary and how that was all the fix was in. So they didn't even believe in their own voters, let alone the American people as a whole. So 66% say, again, while preaching to the rooftops about threats to democracy, saying they want to remove the person leading the nomination for the President of the United States on the Republican Party. They want to take him off the ballot. Why? I guess their argument is because of something he was never charged with, something he was never found guilty of. Is that the rule of law? The question was asked, do you approve or disapprove of state officials removing Trump's name from the ballot? 2/3 of Democrats, a full 66%, said they approve of his name being taken off the ballot, with 50% saying they strongly approve. On the Republican side, only 20% agree with removing Trump, along with 41% of undecideds. Overall, 44% of all voters polled wanted Trump removed from state ballots, while a majority, 53%, disagree. So if they're already saying 66% of Democrats say that they're happy, or they want this to happen, I should say, you tell me that doesn't show you the red flags of the slippery slope? Because if it works once, it's not going to stop there, unfortunately. So keep that in mind. Oh, by the way, Elise Stefanik raked in record fundraising haul in the wake of that anti-Semitism grilling that she had on Congress, going after those college presidents and university presidents. We are at time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. I want to remind you that tomorrow, Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard will be our guest. We always look forward to that. And then on Friday, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. So get those questions in before it's too late, because I'd love to ask your questions to either the sheriff or the Assemblyman. Have a great day, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow morning with Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Sunday on Fox.
Give me everything you got!
It's Dallas and it's Philly, in one of the biggest games of the year.
Ask yourself, how great do we want to be?
Now, the two longtime rivals collide in a must-watch divisional showdown.